Hi, sister. My name is Alasia, and I'm so excited to bring this transmission forward for you today. This is something that I've been reflecting on over the last several days, and it just feels time to bring it forward into the collective field. And so I want to just invite you in this moment to take a moment and really call in your power as you receive this transmission because it's going to activate your power and your own authority. And so we want to start this experience out by taking a moment and really just dropping in to presence with yourself and just imagine all of your power being magnetized to you. Your power, all that is yours, your true power given to you by God, all of it just magnetizing back to you right now. Just taking a moment and allowing all of your power to magnetize back to you, calling in all of your power, calling it all back in across all time and space, and just feeling it arrive in your body, feeling your power come back to you. Mm. And so, this is just a simple practice that I work with when I'm in my containers and just teaching clients as well of like how to continue to call their power back and like be in their power. Because when we talk about spiritual authority, and what we're going to be talking about today is moving through the waves of retaliation and fear persecution programs that keep you in enslavement and bondage and keep you in freeze. But when your power is in your field and you feel how like you are in your power, it helps to support the processes that are going to then carry out because you're in a place of power. So what I always teach my clients is we move from a place of power and we are mindful that we're not moving from a place of trauma or creating from trauma. Now, sometimes it happens and we get into a trauma response, a trauma state where we're not in our power and we're operating from a traumatized aspect or a smaller self that is in, I like to say it's like frozen in time, right? And so sometimes we move from that place. But when we are actively creating and seeking to liberate ourselves with God and to free ourselves from enslavement programs on our body, on our womb, on our mind, right? On our consciousness, on our field that has been, placed upon us to keep us to be out of our power, to be sovereign co-creators, we want to make sure that when we are co-creating with God and when we're making decisions that we are moving from a place of power and choosing that and choosing to regulate and to come into alignment if we notice I'm not actually in my power right now, like I'm moving from like a traumatized place of fear or, worry or scarcity or doubt or I'm, in a space that isn't actually like in this flow space with God. And so today I want to talk about building spiritual authority and how that connects to breaking bondage and also removing the spirit of retaliation and persecution with this. So, as you know, you may have seen it, maybe you didn't, but I have been going through like some really big processes lately that I've been sharing on my social media and stuff like that around breaking certain kinds of bondage that are connected into larger, we'll say, machines that have been harvesting me. And I've been bringing these processes forward. And one of them is breaking bondage from the spirit of Jezebel, which is like a cousin of the alien dark mother, inverted mother consciousness. And the thing about the Jezebel spirit that I want to really, um, just like call it out is that it will oftentimes put you into like a deep space of like fear of like retribution, retaliation, like oh, like is this going to get even worse if I do anything. And I have seen this because I've lived with it, and I've also seen it in other women as well. And it can be very debilitating because it's like you want to break free of whatever is, holding you hostage, basically. But then you're afraid, well, if I do that, like, is the lashback going to get worse? Like, are things going to get worse, right? We need to cancel and come out of agreement with that entirely, because that's part of the loop that keeps you in the bondage, is like, well, I'm scared that if I even do anything, like, I'm going to be punished for it. And this is coming from many different areas where, if we're still connected into the false father, into like the Yahweh fallen father matrix, and we're still feeling like we're going to be punished for doing something, like that punishment from the dark father, that can keep us in that. And then also, if we have been, tormented by Jezebel, and like have had that rage on us of like, whenever you try to like shift it, like it inflames the bondage, right? And I shared this recently in a post that like when you are starting to break free of bondage, it will get inflamed, and sometimes it will fight, it'll rage, trying to keep you in control, right? And so we know that when we're going through spiritual warfare, and when we're clearing these programs, these entities, like these forms of attachment and spiritual bondage on us that have, come through our bloodline or just through our own experiences that we have unconsciously or consciously agreed to, that when we start to like call our power in and like free ourselves from that, sometimes, there's a bit of a response because they're angry. These energies, these bottom feeders, these clowns are angry that you're taking away their food source, and you're no longer participating in that, and it can't control you. So remember that any form of dark attack, any form of spiritual bondage, it's seeking to keep you out of your power and sovereignty. That's it. It's keeping, the field suppressed, to, siphon from you and make you forget who, your power, which is why there's so many veils of amnesia and spells that are especially on the feminine, of like remembering like, oh yeah, I have power and I can use it, and I can come into my power and really, you know, command authority and use my spiritual authority that we build with God. So when it comes to spiritual authority, this is built based on the foundation you have with God and your relationship with God. So spiritual authority is something that grows and builds as you go on your faith walk with God. And God will teach you how to build your spiritual authority, and will lead you to mentors and teachers and, teachings and experiences that will help you build your spiritual authority, like in your energetic field. That way, when you are faced with certain situations, you have the authority and you can take authority over that situation, and you're not just like, feeling powerless. So oftentimes bondage wants to keep us feeling powerless, where we feel like we can't change it. Or if I try to change it, I just get attacked. Or if I'm scared to change it because I'm scared that it'll get worse if it doesn't work, right? These things, or like being so terrified because you're still holding the wound of persecution or retaliation, like from other lifetimes, that it like immobilizes you. So back a few months ago, I went through an experience where I had this come up in a really deep way. And I was like, okay, God, like I'm ready to work this out, where I no longer hold fear of retaliation in my field, because I notice that it keeps me in like a bondage of self-sabotage, of like, I know what I need to do, but I'm afraid to do it because I'm afraid if I do that, I'll have retaliation from that person or that experience or whatever. So I went through a really deep process of healing this, working through it, and God showed me a lot through the process. And with that process, I built up more spiritual authority. And so now, if there's any sort of like tension, I'm able to alchemize it because I worked through that massive process of like clearing out the retaliation. So what this can look like for you if you have like any trauma around retaliation or punishment, or even PTSD from retaliation, because I had that as well. It's like fear of making a move because you don't want to make that person angry and like receive, lashback from that person or whatever that energy is. Or you don't want to make someone mad. It can often also like come in the form of people pleasing and in the fawning response, because it's like that was just your nature. Because if you did anything, like if you had an abusive parent or you were in an abusive relationship, then that response is kind of like, and it gets ingrained if you have been in that situation where you're just trying to survive. And so you fawn. And so you actually don't speak up and stand up for yourself because you have a fear of like getting punished when it was out of your control, especially like as a child. So this also links deeply to inner child healing and seeing had like, the dark mother or the dark father, or the Jezebel spirit promote punishment, or like were you retaliated against or did things happen? Um, and I've been teaching a lot about this inside the cathedral in terms of like moving through warfare and dark attack and lashback, because when we do grid work, sometimes there can be lashback that comes with that. But remember, like it can only really impact you when you have a wound and you aren't sealed in that area. So this is why it's so important to be aware of your trauma, your wounds, your shadow, so that way you don't have any blind spots. And when something happens, you're able to navigate it and alchemize it and know that God is always working things out for your good. And so even if there is some kind of flashback situation, it's going to build and increase your spiritual authority by the way you move through it. And I teach you all about this inside the cathedral, by the way. Like if you are looking to develop your psychic self-defense skills and your energetic hygiene and being able to navigate spiritual warfare, dark attack, how to come back into your power and alchemize these things, all of that is included in the cathedral, in the pre-recorded trainings and in the live classes and workshops that I'm teaching. So it's a really, really powerful resource. So that is available to you if you are called to go in deeper to those studies. But what I really want to encourage you with all of this is that if you are giving your power away to the spirit of retaliation, you are going to be in that bondage indefinitely. I know it can be scary when you are feeling a big surge of power and something coming in to like support you and standing in your power. And then the spirit of retaliation comes in and is like, well, if you do that, this could happen, right? God doesn't give us a spirit of fear, right? Or a spirit of retaliation. God's not retaliating against us. That is the false God. So anything that's coming in to promote fear of you taking your power back is something that is benefiting from you not being in your power. So we want to cancel that, and we want to make sure that we're not giving our power away to that. And if there is a part of you that is like, yeah, I'm totally giving my power away to that, or I'm feeding that, this is where we come in and we do the inner work and we move through, how to alchemize and transform and, integrate that, so that way you can build more spiritual authority and command your space properly and no longer allow that spirit of retaliation or fear of punishment or persecution to control you, because it is a huge siphon and it literally will like immobilize you from moving forward. And so this is a really personal part of divine feminine reclamation, is healing those persecution wounds, fear of retaliation, and knowing that when you're in this covenant with God and you are walking with God, God's going to cover you. And it takes a very, open relationship with God, of like you being open to receive from God and being able to break through any blockages around receiving protection and provision from Holy Father and Holy Mother. That is going to help you build that authority. So if there's any like type of God wounding where you don't feel covered or supported by God, like that's also something that you want to be present with, because it's a huge factor in taking your power back. So In terms of the Jezebel spirit, especially because right now there is so much happening in the feminine Christ collective body, in Sophia's body. We're all feeling it. Okay. And there's so much happening in the grids. There's some really beautiful grid work happening between sisters right now. And I'm just in awe of the orchestration of like what I've been working on and then learning about what other sisters have been working on and like God bringing us all together to work on these things. It's really phenomenal. And so there's a dismantling of the dark mother happening. And this is why God was preparing me to hold this ceremony to support you in clearing out the Jezebel spirit from your field. And so that, of course, is going to take place in the Magdalene Rose Grail ceremony, which is on Sunday, August 10th. And I'll be doing that with my beloved sister Saskia. And we're going to be holding a really special ceremony together to move through these like really big pieces, and also what we're resurrecting and reclaiming on the other side of evicting dark mother and all of this like heavy bondage on the feminine. What we're resurrecting is going to be absolutely profound and really, really deep. And so when you are getting ready to reclaim your power in a big way, there will be opposition more than likely, because they don't want you reclaiming your power, because you reclaiming your power is not just for you. It is also for your lineage and everyone that you come in contact with. Because the more in your power and in your sovereignty and in that feminine Christ embodiment that you're in, the more that activates, awakens, and heals others to do the same. And it's a ripple effect. And of course, your lineage, when you reclaim your power and you clear these out and you build that spiritual authority, you start to command things over your lineage that is like a really big deal. Like, I can't tell you what it has been for me to build my spiritual authority and the miracles that have happened for my bloodline and for my family, because I was in this devotion with God, like through these devotional practices of building spiritual authority and creating this energetic, like basically like storehouse of spiritual authority, like that I've been cultivating with God, that God has allowed me to build through my devotion and my prayers and through fasting and through just my obedience of following God's instructions for my life that has built it. So there are many things that can build spiritual authority, but the bottom like layer of all of that is like seeking a relationship with God and inviting God continually in your process, and to ask God, God, can you help me build my spiritual authority? Like, what do I need to know about this? What do I need to see about this? How can I build my spiritual authority? And if you are interested in doing that, you can reach out to me and we can talk a little bit more. This is also what I do in my private containers with women and working one-to-one as well, and what I'm teaching inside the cathedral. And also, I'll be sharing a little bit more about this in the Magdalene Rose Grail ceremony as well, when we evict the spirit of Jezebel. So if at any time you're feeling like you're ready to release something, if you're like, okay, I know I'm not meant to hold this bondage anymore. I know that like I'm breaking free. It's been hell. Like I can't do this anymore. Like God is bringing it up, up and out. And it's up to you to make the choice of like, am I going to entertain this anymore? Or am I going to step into my power? And so it's a very pivotal choice point, right? I talk a lot about the choice points that we go through of I can fall back into this and stay in this turmoil, or God is giving me a pathway out. Am I going to take it? And so holding space for any parts of you that are feeling like nervous about the reclamation, or like scared, or feeling fear, and like really getting into prayer and like asking God, like, okay, God, if this is the pathway for me, please give me clear, confirmation, and give me the tools I need to be able to do this and support myself through it. And it's really all about a choice of like, once you see something and you recognize it within yourself, you can either continue to consciously participate in it or you can choose something else. It's different when it's unconscious and we don't recognize it, right? This is why we work with mentors and we have honest reflection to see like, oh, this is a pattern for me, right? We come into containers for like those aha moments, those breakthrough moments, right? And that's what we're doing in the sanctuary is we are unveiling these things and lifting, the veil of amnesia to be able to like bring clear vision of like recognizing what's still there that's controlling you. You can always ask God that too, of like, what's controlling me? God, what is still controlling you? What am I still giving my power away to that I need to take care of and clean up? Right? These are like intimate conversations with God, and then God will guide you. So I just wanted to come on and record this. It's very alive right now collectively because whenever we go in and like we're dismantling dark mother systems and we're dismantling any dark mother architecture in ourselves, where we have like given in and we've been like playing with the dark mother or Jezebel, and we've been, even like allowing Jezebel to move through us of like being that rageful, nasty spirit that wants to control and manipulate. And we recognize it in ourselves. It's like, well, that's not me. Like something is like moving through my field that's influencing me that isn't actually my organic essence. And I want to get that out of here, right? And then the energy can start to like war with you when it knows, oh my God, like I'm getting evicted, right? It's like fighting for control. But remember, you have the authority, you have the power, you in relationship with God, with Christ, with Sophia, you are the one that has the spiritual authority to take control with God over your vessel, with your mind, your heart, with whatever bondage is playing out through, for whatever reason, and you get to be the one to decide, okay, do I want to carry this anymore? Or am I ready to like let this go? And if so, God, show me the way, right? So I trust you to be in your power. And I just want to offer this reflection to you because I know that when we're getting ready to go through like a really big up level and to reclaim a big power, like there's a lot that can come in and it comes in to disorient us and like make us feel like it's never going to change and it's just always going to be like this and like getting into like these lower vibrational energies. And it's like all of that like stuff is just not coming from God. And we just need to like break agreement with it and collapse it out of the field and call in God and know that God's going to show us the way out. So if this is resonating for you and you feel like you'd love to receive some support on this, I'd love to invite you to reach out to me. There's many different ways that you can work with me right now. I have, of course, the Magdalene Rose Grail ceremony coming up, which we will be evicting the Jezebel spirit. And we're going to be doing some really deep healing on the feminine collective light body and to support you in your process with Rose, really connecting to the true Magdalene, Rose Grail, mermaid lineages, and evicting all that isn't aligned. And this is connected into a collective eviction of Jezebel that I'm facilitating. So it's going to be really powerful. God has shown me that there's a lot coming in for this ceremony that I don't have access to yet. So if you're feeling the nudge and the call, I definitely recommend that you come. It's going to be a really special day. And Saskia and I are really excited about finally bringing it forward after some delays and also, divine timing of when it's occurring. And I also right now am currently in the live training of the cathedral, which is my grid work training. And this is a really, really special Holy Mother Sophianic temple space that is architected especially for prayer priestesses and medicine women, oracles, healers, and women who are called to grid work and to being, in their grid work stewardship and allowing their grid work templates and their prayer priestess embodiment to really come in. And so we're also going to be working with song and activating your voice in that. And yeah, all of this is connected to also building that spiritual authority and allowing your higher self language to come in. So the cathedral is currently live and will be live for the next few weeks in training. And then I have, yeah, like 2 spots open right now for private clients. So if you're feeling like you want to come into a private experience with me in the temple where you have your own temple space and we have our own sacred journey together in a private way, where it's just you and me and we're meeting together in sessions and also, working together through Telegram and weaving back and forth. You'll have your own private temple space within Sanctuary of Sophia that will hold you through your process of reclamation, healing. Also, of course, this is connected to all the layers of feminine healing, like womb sovereignty, as well as your voice. And yeah, building that spiritual authority, coming into your mission, aligning with your organic blueprints, all of that. So feel free to reach out to me about that and we can chat. But I just want you to know that I love you and I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being present with me. Thank you for doing all the work you're doing. I know that it is such a journey to step in to choosing feminine Christ embodiment and the highest destiny for your life with God. But through the evolution and all of the twists and turns of the journey, it really is the most beautiful process of reclamation and sovereignty. So may God bless you, and I will see you soon.